What's up, everybody? Today's all about frameworks. It can be tough to grow a business without frameworks in place to provide guidance. Businesses that don't use frameworks often struggle with wasted time and money and a lack of performance or value. And because of that, it's important we use frameworks to develop strategy, management processes, marketing plans, and more. Frameworks provide structure, guidance that can save time and money when improving performance and increase the overall effectiveness and value of your company. So let's cue the intro and we'll jump right in. Listen, there's a lot to learn when growing and scaling your business.
That's why we created the Business Choreography podcast, where we talk about choreographing your marketing, operations, and sales into dynamic systems that increase your revenue and your impact.
We'll explore solid business principles and discuss all things that make businesses dance to success with clarity.
We'll help you figure out where the holes are in your business and what you can do to fix them. Think of us as your official business choreographers, aka your insider growth strategists.
Remember, your choreography matters. Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast. What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here. Welcome to Business Choreography. We invest and mentor businesses to grow and scale so they can save more money and create businesses they love without losing sight of the things that matter most. And we do this by using the power of business choreography to design dynamic systems and processes that amplify revenue, save time, maximize growth. So if you want to find out more about that, check us out after the podcast. Today, here's what we're going to cover. We got a lot of things on the list. What are frameworks and why are they important for business? How can frameworks help businesses achieve their goals and grow successfully? 3, we're going to cover how frameworks can help businesses save time and money. 4, what are some of the frameworks we use with businesses? 5, how to choose the businesses or the right frameworks for your business. And 6, how do you go about implementing a framework into your business? And last but not least, the importance of frameworks for business growth and valuation, because that's important, right? So let's dig right in. What are frameworks and why are they important for businesses? Listen, there's a few things that you really want to be able to understand. A framework can provide structure and guidance, and it can help you develop a strategy that is consistent in your business. This is so important, right? Management processes are huge, right? When you're trying to create management processes, you need frameworks to be able to help you through that. You also need some really good frameworks for marketing plans. And this is a really big deal, right? You can use frameworks for so many different things, but if you can use them for these different things, they're going to make life so much easier, right? There's all sorts of cool frameworks that businesses have made along the way, but what you need is your own particular frameworks. Now, you're probably going to hear me say frameworks a number of times today. I'm sorry, but the thing is, when you have a framework, you now have something that is unique to you. It's individual to your business, to you as a creator inside your business. Not only do you need frameworks inside the business, but you also need them for your customers. This makes a huge deal, especially if you're teaching a course or you're teaching some sort of education or service. This is a big deal. When your customers, when your clients know your frameworks, man, this makes things a lot easier. And it makes it really hard for others to steal your stuff, right? Because now you're actually conveying your message through a framework that your clients can actually use. This is huge, right? So I don't want you to get into the idea that a framework is just for one piece or another piece. Frameworks are things you can create internally for your employees and team members to actually utilize so that they can be intelligent, use their smarts, and have a guided framework to be able to take them the direction they need to go. If you are thinking SOPs, well, a framework could be an SOP. However, if you were the team member that just got hired on and you got handed a 75-page SOP book, and this is how we do things, you'd be a little like, oh my gosh, what did I just get? So frameworks allow for some new team member, a new employee coming in to be able to understand the principles that you stand for in your business, and then have a framework to guide them to make good decisions on their own. And hopefully you're hiring them because they make good decisions. This is a big deal, right? Because this is going to improve performance. It's going to help you save time and money in so many different ways, whether it be with your clients or with your team members that you're bringing on. And it's going to also long-term help you increase the valuation of your company. This is a big deal, right? Because you may not be thinking you want to exit, or you may not be thinking that you want to sell, but you should move towards a position where you can do that. And that's a big deal. All right. So number 2, how can frameworks help businesses achieve their goals? How can they help you achieve your goal and grow successfully? Well, you're going to have a set of guidelines and best practices to follow. This is a big deal, right? So this set of guidelines, these frameworks, are going to actually help you stay on course. These frameworks will be the backbone of your business. This is a big deal, right? Because remember, we just said about valuation. Somebody buying your business, whoever's going to buy your business, isn't going to buy it if you don't have established frameworks and systems, processes that you can actually run, and that they can see that when they buy your company, that if you're gone, your company will keep generating money and revenue, because that's why they're buying it. They're looking for a good ROI. So if you don't have great frameworks that have set up guidelines and have become the backbone of your business, this is going to basically make it so that your company isn't valued very high. So let's jump into the next one. Number 3, how frameworks can help businesses save time. How can you save time? Well, this is pretty straightforward. You're going to be able to avoid some of the common mistakes by establishing that framework. You're going to be able to streamline your operations. This is a big deal, right? If you can streamline your operations, you're saving time and money, right? You're making a big impact by making sure you're taking the exact right path, and the frameworks can help you to do that, right? You can standardize your procedures this way as well. With a good framework, the standardization of the things that you do becomes normal. Now everybody knows it. Now everybody can refer to the framework that you're running. This is a big deal. Okay, so number 4, what are some of the frameworks we use with businesses? Okay, I get asked that all the time. Hey, Michael, at Business Choreography, what are some of your favorite frameworks? Oh my gosh, we have so many that we love, and we'd like to use other people's as well, right? Because if you have or find a framework that works, you should use it. But aside from all of those frameworks that we use, I have 4 that I really like. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. We're going to talk a little bit about the choreography triad, the BizBoat, the revenue generation model, and the marketing choreography system. So I'll go through those just briefly so that you can get an idea of what they'd be about. The choreography triad is really cool. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see. I just pulled up the screen there so you can see. Choreography triad is all about being able to choreograph in the best way possible. So what do? We go in, we have to define and articulate. We have to be able to execute across all departments, right? But you can't do that until you've defined and articulated everything that's going on, the problems, the solutions, whatever it is going to be. Then you can execute those across departments. And then you have to figure out how to measure everything. You have to measure everything. And all of those things in that triad lead to profit and efficiency. This is a really big deal. I love that framework. I could talk about that for hours. Let's talk a little bit about the BizBoat. That's one of my other favorite frameworks that we use. This framework was kind of developed based upon some of the greats in the business industry. People like Dan Kennedy, Alex Hormozy, Russell Brunson, they kind of led us to build this cool framework. And again, remember, sometimes frameworks are just to help you remember the things that you know and put them into a localized area so that you can actually teach about them. This is a really cool framework. It talks a lot about your inflow and your outflow. How many customers are coming in? How many are leaving? That's That's your churn, right? Your new clients in relationship to your churn. You could find out all sorts of cool things about your business when you actually go through and calculate these things. And this is an incredible framework. Plus, it allows you to kind of see visually where you're headed. You're headed towards that promised land, and the promised land to us is your referrals divided by your churn, right? When you can bring up your referrals and they can outweigh your churn, this is a really, really big deal. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, we need to chat. Okay, this is an amazing framework. So next one we have here is the revenue generation model. I love this framework. This is how we come in and literally show companies the money, right? Because in some instances, you might have figured out your core product, your core offering. We have to figure out your supporting products. We have to figure out the other people's products that you can actually connect to what you're doing in great partnerships, collaborations, JVs, that type of thing. This is a really cool model. And this in itself, oh my goodness, it'll change your world, right? But what a cool model to be able to work off. We love this framework. And one of our favorites next up is the marketing choreography system. The marketing choreography system is a super powerful framework. We created this out of need for ourselves and need for our customers along our journey. And this powerful framework is based off of that middle there. So for some of you, you can see this on the screen. We talk about VCVO, right? Your noise vehicle, your noise campaign, your sales vehicle, and your product or offer, depending on what it is. And we build that out with you. And it's customized. It is choreography, just like it sounds, marketing choreography. And this helps bring all the pieces together. We love this framework. It is pretty solid, and it'll change your marketing forever. So let me take that off the screen here. Okay, now, so let's keep going, right? Because there's so much to cover here, and we're cruising right along. I know I'm going fast, but that's okay. You can go back and listen to it later. So how do you choose the right framework, right? I just showed you 4 of our frameworks, and that's a lot, right? There's a lot going on in just those 4 frameworks. In fact, I could teach for hours and whole courses on just those 4 frameworks because, well, we have. And so I could stay in there and just talk about it for hours and hours, but they become the basis, like we said before, the backbone of what it is that you do. So when you adopt a framework into your business, this makes a big difference for your team members. It makes a big difference for your clients, right? But deciding which one to use, okay, that can be a little bit of a daunting task. There's a ton of options available. There are a ton of frameworks you can pull from. I think one of the biggest challenges is trying to figure out where you're at and what you need at the time. Sometimes you have to develop your own frameworks. And if you need help with that, I love doing it. I love helping people build frameworks because it is super fun. Bringing all the pieces together, putting them together in something that is simplistic and easy to understand. Hopefully, as I went through those other frameworks super fast, you were able to start to get an idea of what they would do and how they could potentially help you, right? Your frameworks have to be able to do this. And if you take the time to understand your needs, you can narrow down all of the frameworks that are out there, and you can start to actually put them into work. Now, whether that be your frameworks, because maybe if you stop and look through your resources that you have within the company, you might find that you have a ton of frameworks already there. Maybe you haven't drawn them out. Maybe they're just in SOPs or processes, or maybe they're notes all over the place, but you can actually pull them together, create a cool little maybe booklet or folder or something that houses all of these frameworks. And now you can actually start to create some consistency. And that consistency will allow you for leverage as you continue to move forward. So to choose the right framework for your business, really, it requires that you do this. You have to identify your goals. And I know that seems maybe rote, maybe a little bit over talked about, but the truth of the matter is that you have to be able to say, I know where I'm headed. I know what I'm hoping to achieve. And in that, and I'm talking about either for a business or for the task that you're setting up this framework for, or the education or the lesson that you're about to teach to your clients, whatever it is, you have to be able to say, okay, what's the goal for that? What do I want to achieve? And once you know what you want to accomplish, then you can begin to research different frameworks and see which ones are going to help you reach that goal, whatever the particular goal is, whether it's a company-wide goal, business-wide goal, right? Or whether it's a management goal or even just for your team members. And by taking all of those different factors into account, your goals and what it is that you're trying to educate on or get standardized, you're going to be able to choose the right framework for you. So, how do you go about implementing a framework into your operations? Well, this is a little bit more complicated, right? Because as you take on a framework, everybody's going to kind of go, oh my gosh, okay, there's all this stuff we have to learn. But that's why cool pictures, if you saw earlier, I wanted to show you those. If you haven't seen it, go take a look on YouTube. You'll be able to see some of those. But they're memorable, right? That's the thing. We want it to be memorable. You want it to be able to be something that can come back in your mind right away, because that framework allows somebody to be able to access the information really, really quickly. And that's what we need, right? So you have to define the scope of the implementation, right? If we're going to implement this into our business or even for our customers, right? What parts of the business are going to be affected by this framework? And you have to define that scope, because sometimes you think you're implementing a framework for the entire business, and maybe 2 or 3 departments that you're talking to think it's not for them, it's for the other department. Maybe the other department thought it was for everybody else. Everybody thinks, oh, that was nice, and nobody understands the scope. So you really have to be able to define the scope of that implementation and then understand what parts of the business are going to be affected. Okay. Number 2, you're going to need to train your employees on that new system. And when I say train your employees, they need to know how to use it in order to make it efficient and make it work effectively. This is a really big deal, because how many times have you thought to yourself, well, I told you to do that. And then you think back and they didn't do it, and you're wondering, why did it not happen? It didn't happen because you told them once. You have to actually train your team, your business, your team or your employees, whatever they are in your business. You have to train them to use the system. Maybe you have a framework that you've tried to teach to your clients. This is also challenging, because if you don't train your clients to use that framework, they might actually remember the framework. They might remember that you taught it to them. But if you don't train them to use it, they're not going to use it, right? So you have to be able to train your employees on that new system. Number 3, you've got to gradually roll out the system. Sometimes we get excited as business owners and we're like, here's this new system. And we kind of like just dump it all on top of them. This is crazy, right? If you're making too many changes at one time, right? Let's say you got like 3 new frameworks. You just saw those 4 that I flashed across the screen and went through, and you were like, these are amazing, I got to use them. And you dump them out on top of your team and they all go, it's too much stuff, right? So too many changes at once are going to be disruptive, and they're going to cause confusion for your team, and they're going to just be not happy. I mean, that's the simple element of it. The framework might be amazing, but if you don't gradually roll them into it, then you might not get the result you're looking to gain from implementing that framework. Okay. And number 4, you've got to monitor and adjust as necessary, right? None of the frameworks that you're ever going to come across or use are going to be perfect. So you got to be able to make tweaks along the way for your specific company and for what you need to do along the way. And that is so important. If you remember the choreography triad, one of them was measure everything, right? That's the third side of the triangle, measure everything. And then you've got to be able to execute those things, and you've got to test them, and you've got to try them out and maybe adjust a little bit and ask for their feedback. If you have a team running a new framework, you've got to ask them how it's going and what it could stand to improve on, how they think you could change it. If there is a little bit of this or that needs to be added, then that's okay, right? Just think of it like making a stew. Sometimes you need a little garlic, sometimes you need a little salt, sometimes you need a little pepper, right? And that stuff comes from your team. And as they talk to you about frameworks that you've implemented, cool. Now you can take those things, make those little tweaks and adjustments. Doesn't mean you have to depart from the framework, but when you can make those little adjustments, you can actually really hone in and get it to work perfectly. Okay, so let's keep going. This is the last thing I said we were going to cover today: the importance of frameworks for business growth and valuation. This is a big deal, right? Businesses are under so much pressure to grow and grow at a faster rate, achieve higher valuations, right? And in order to do this, you have to have frameworks in place that'll help you scale. This is a big deal, right? If you don't get those frameworks in place, that structure for the overall business, and maybe I'm a broken record because I said it a couple times today, guys, if you don't have this structure in place, your business can't be valuated as high as it can. You're not going to get those multiples that you want and that you're looking for. So you have to be able to track your progress. You have to be able to set your goals. You have to be able to measure your success. And without frameworks for doing that, it's going to be really, really difficult, right? And the right framework can mean the difference between achieving or avoiding stagnation and achieving like explosive growth, the kind of growth that every business owner wants, the kind that you were going along like this and now it's going straight up in the air. Well, that would be great. But if you don't measure your successes along the way and make adjustments, if you're not setting goals, if you're not tracking your progress, then without all of that stuff, you're not going to be able to get the valuation that you need. So the importance of implementing all sorts of frameworks, whether it be internal or whether it be external, is massive. You've got to do it. Don't avoid it. Frameworks are super important. And I know for some, they feel sort of confining. And I get that. Sometimes a framework is for you to learn. It's for your team members to learn. And that's cool. You implement the framework, you let them learn the thing that they need to, and you give them that frame that they can always operate by. Hey, when I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that first, this first, that first, and they have a cool little thing for it, right? We've always heard of mnemonic devices or any sort of visual that you can get, right? You probably, if you're watching this video, you probably remember that target that I showed you from one of our frameworks, right? Or the triangle. When you can have cool images that represent the framework that you're operating out of, this makes a huge difference, right? But in the long term, when it's all said and done, you want to build your business to sell. What? Michael, I want to stay in my business. This is for my posterity. That's great, but build it to sell it. Build it so that you can actually be somebody outside of your business, working on your business, or just talking with the person that's running your business, right? But build it so that you can get out. And the reason you want to do that is so that you could sell it. Now, you could sell it right back to yourself. Okay, in quotes, sell it to yourself. That's fine. But you've got to think about that ahead of time. Don't just build to build. You might build yourself into a full-time job, and that means you've turned yourself into the employee instead of the innovator, instead of the creator, instead of the guide or tour guide for your business. And in some instances, that's the better place to be in most instances. Okay. So building these frameworks, getting frameworks as an essential part of your business is imperative. You've got to do it. You've got to get the efficiency and the effectiveness that frameworks can bring to the table for your business. And you've got to take some time to do it. Right. And I hate to be, forceful on it, but guys, you probably have some frameworks in place. You probably have something that you've been building. You probably got some frameworks in place. They might need refining. They might need outright change, or you might just need to do it in the first place. It doesn't really make a difference. Guys, I went through a lot of stuff about frameworks today and the importance of frameworks in your business. I want you to just take some time, evaluate in your mind, think for a few minutes and say, hey, do I have what I need in terms of frameworks? Do I have what I need for my team, for my management team, for my team members and employees, maybe on the front lines? Do I have the frameworks established that I need for my clients? Just ask those questions. If there are any no's, then we need to chat. We need to get those put together. We need to get that stuff built. So Anyway, I hope this has made a difference for you. I know I was going super fast, and I know that I just had a lot I wanted to cover today and get through. So I hope for you guys that it was insightful, and hopefully you can share this with somebody that might need it. If you're thinking, "Gosh, I wish I'd have known that," and maybe my buddy needs to hear that. He runs a business doing this. Could share this with them, and they're gonna love it. They'll appreciate it. Think about that. It'll be great. All right, guys. That's that for frameworks today. I'm so happy you guys joined me, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Business Choreography Podcast. Take care. Every business needs choreography.
Choreography in your marketing, your operations, and your sales.
That's why we created the Business Choreography Group.
Come and join an amazing group of business owners developing their choreography to help their businesses grow and scale.
Go to bizchoreo.com/group to join us today.